Hey everyone, it's Ally and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to go over a fragrance that's been in my collection for a really long time, and that is Shiseido Zen. This is a fragrance that has been one of my tried and trues. I have loved this fragrance for a long time. It's one of the first fragrances that I got in my collection that kind of started my fragrance journey. I remember when I had first purchased this fragrance, I bought it because I had seen Demi Rowling talk about it and she said it was so amazing and I just really needed to have it. And it was more on the affordable price range at the time that I bought it. So I was super excited. It sort of catapulted me in my fragrance journey, as I think Demi Rowling did for a lot of people. Yeah, it's a fragrance that has been in my collection that I have loved. You can probably tell by the juice. I have used it quite a bit. I'm about a little more than halfway through it, about halfway, a little more, I want to say. And this is a beautiful smelling fragrance. That is a patchouli fragrance, but it's not your typical type of patchouli. This is a sparkling patchouli. But what I wanted to talk about was this fragrance right here as well. This one is from Maison Alhambra and it's called Zeno. And if you can tell, or if you can't tell, it's definitely trying to dupe Shiseido Zen, which is a gorgeous fragrance, but it is discontinued. So if you want to hear my thoughts on this one and see if it's a good alternative to Shiseido Zen, then definitely stay tuned because that's what we're going to be getting into. But a little bit about this one first. This is a stunning patchouli fragrance, but it's not your typical patchouli fragrance where you're going to find that patchouli fragrances tend to be very dirty, earthy smelling, kind of hippie-like. This is very bright, it's sparkling, it's juicy, it has an effervescent quality to it. It's really, really beautiful. And that's why I really enjoy this one. This fragrance reminds me of the smell of petrichor. And if you're not familiar with petrichor, it's just a fancy way of saying the way the outdoor smells after it rains. It smells just like that. It smells like petrichor. I love wearing this in the springtime on really warm days, especially in summer and spring. I feel like this fragrance really shines. I would hella recommend you wear this outside, like early morning if you're letting your dogs out to go to the bathroom, or if you just want to sit outside because it's beautiful. There's a crispness to like the air. It's sunny, it's a little warm. That's the best time to wear this. It's really invigorating in the morning time and just makes you want to go, go, go. It's a bright citrusy fragrance that isn't boring, it's unique. And it just makes you feel good overall. Now, this one is a discontinued fragrance. Like I said, you have notes of grapefruit, pineapple, bergamot, orange, rose, freesia, red apple, lotus, hyacinth, gardenia, lily of the valley, violet, orris, patchouli, cedar, musk, amber, incense, and pine. So there's a lot going on in this fragrance, first off. It is a beautiful fragrance. It has a lot of notes, so it has some complexity to it, but it's very simple in the way that it smells almost, without being simple, if that makes sense. This is beautiful. Right off the bat, you get this really citrusy punch that is just so bright and invigorating and juicy and sort of wet-like. It has that wet petrichor sort of feel, but there's almost this slight earthiness that smells really wet. So it smells like it just rained outside and somehow you're wearing like really warm, clean clothes and you're smelling that clean muskiness coming off of your clothes and into the air, mixing in with the wet, earthy smell outside. And this just really invigorating, juicy, juicy burst of citrus. It's clean, it's a little lemony. It's just so beautiful. It smells clean and effervescent. And if you love the smell of smelling clean and effervescent and just like, I'm ready to go and tackle the day, this is the perfect scent. Absolutely love it. So many beautiful notes. This lasts a pretty decent time on me, being that it's a citrus fragrance. Citruses tend to be very fleeting. This is more on the longer lasting side, which I really love. I get about 6 to 7 hours wear from this one. And this one retails around $60 to $100, depending on where you're looking and who is selling it. So it isn't the most expensive fragrance, but it is discontinued. So it's only going to get harder to find and then it's only going to go up in price. And yeah, the packaging is really unique. I'm not the biggest fan of this cap, if I'm honest. It's kind of chunky and like weird, but I do like the sort of square bottle where like you could see the juice on one side and it's kind of like this yellowy color on the other two sides. Really, really interesting fragrance, not your typical everyday citrus fragrance. Now, that being said, this one. This one is from Maison Alhambra. It is called Zeno, and again, it is supposed to be duping the infamous Shiseido Zen. I will say right off the bat, I enjoy the packaging for this one so much more. I enjoy this like large sort of crystal-like cap. It's plastic, but it's really pretty, and I like it way more than the chunk monster on top of Shiseido Zen, this big old brick. Already, that is a win for me. Now, the note breakdown for this one is a little bit different. I'm trying to get it to focus. There we go. It is a little different. You've got pear, watermelon, magnolia, peach, orange, bergamot, jasmine, lily of the valley, tuberose, freesia, rose, orchid, plum, violet, musk, vanilla, blackberry, and cedar. So you have a little bit more of like a fruitier kick in this one, just based on the note breakdown, because you have that pear and that watermelon, which I thought was really interesting. I was like, watermelon, like how's that going to affect the fragrance? Is it going to affect the fragrance? Is it going to smell the same? Because though they do share a lot of similar notes, this one has a lot less notes and it has more fruits. So I was like, I wonder if it's going to be an exact dupe or if it's going to be different. Now, both of these are 100 ml bottles. This one retails between $60 to $100, depending on what you're looking for, because it is discontinued. And this one retails for about $20. That's what I paid for mine, for the 100 ml. So already so much more affordable. It is a fraction of the price of the original Shiseido Zen. But does it smell like it? That's the question. Yes. Somehow, with the note breakdown being different, this does have that same smell, although I will say the patchouli that is in Shiseido Zen, that sort of sparkling wet patchouli, is way more toned down in this one than it is in Shiseido Zen. It's still there, don't get me wrong, and it's a little bit more prominent in the deep dry down, but like in the opening of Shiseido Zen, you get that really wet petrichor patchouli sort of scent. This one is a lot juicier, a lot more wet and aquatic, and you really do get that sweetness from that watermelon pear combo. It's really, really beautiful. I really enjoy it. It does give me Shiseido Zen vibes, but this is slightly more aquatic. It's slightly juicier. The sweetness is slightly more turned up. And that patchouli, petrichor sort of vibe is toned down. In the deep dry down, I find that they are the most similar. In the deep dry down, yes, you do get that Shiseido Zen vibe. The patchouli is a little bit more prominent in this one, but it never gets into full Shiseido Zen territory. This one I would say is a little bit softer, but it is newer in my collection. So keep that in mind. This more than likely is going to develop as most Middle Eastern fragrances do, but I've noticed that with the Maison Alhambra line from Lattafa, and thank you to the subscriber that like pointed that out. I had no idea that Maison Alhambra was a sort of sub branch of Lattafa. I thought it was its own thing. Apparently, it is just an off branch, like a sort of sub company. Had no idea. Thank you for letting me know. I forgot her name, but she is a subscriber. Thank you. And yeah, like I've noticed with a lot of the Maison Alhambra fragrances is that they do need that maceration period because they will develop and get better. And I have a very strong feeling that with time, this one is going to become so much more similar to Shiseido Zen, but it's not going to lose that sort of sweeter, juicier quality that it has. It's just going to amp up a little bit more. But I will say this is about 90 to 95% similar to Shiseido Zen. Definitely a good dupe. Like, hands down, if I sprayed this one and someone was familiar with this fragrance, I don't think they would just be able to distinguish much of a difference, honestly. Like, they smell so similar, especially in the air. You'd have to get really close up to skin in order to smell that this one is a little bit sweeter and a little bit juicier and a little wetter. So you still have that citrusy type of kick in this because of the bergamot and the orange. So it's still that citrus forward fragrance, but like I said, the added note of watermelon and pear have sort of amped up the aquatic, juicy, fruity feel of the fragrance, making it a lot more likable in my opinion, a little bit softer for the time being, but I think over time, probably in a month or two, it's going to be a lot more potent and a lot more delicious and just so, so beautiful. I still get that crisp, clean clothes smell with both of the fragrances. They both share a lot of similarities as far as the note breakdown. And yeah, it's a very similar DNA to Shiseido Zen. I think it's a really good alternative to it. So if you are on the market and you've been trying to track down this fragrance and maybe it's just a little too out of your price range, or you just can't justify paying the price point right now for this one, you can also look into this one and get a very similar scent profile that I don't think anyone's going to be able to tell the difference on, honestly. Like, it's a really good one, and I honestly prefer the packaging of this one to this one, although this is still one of my favorite fragrances. This is like very close in line to this one now. I still prefer this one just a little bit more because it's more potent. I get about 5 or so hours where this one I can get maybe 6 to 7. I get about 5 right now, but I have a feeling that's going to change because a lot of not a lot, every Maison Alhambra fragrance that I've had has gotten better over time the longer it has sat and become more and more potent. And I have no doubt in my mind that that's going to happen with this one as well. And yeah, that's sort of my thoughts on these two fragrances. Let me know if you've tried this one. What are your thoughts? Do you like it? How does it work for you? I honestly love it, and I'm so glad I have this in my collection because God forbid I run out of this one. I'm going to be using this one, but this is going to be a great substitute for the days that I want to wear this one, but don't want to have to spray it. I can use this or layer them together. I have layered these two together. They do work really beautifully together. And I've also layered these with Gris Dior, if you're familiar with that sort of scent profile. I would say that's kind of in line with Shiseido Zen, that sort of petrichor-like scent as well. Except Gris Dior is a wet rose sort of petrichor scent with a bright bergamot burst. So it still has that citrus, but with a wet rose added to it. And that is the smell of Gris Dior. Very similar scent profile, that sparkling, wet, sort of patchouli scent. And like Gris Dior almost smells like it could have been a flanker or rosy flanker to Shiseido Zen, if I'm honest. And I've noticed that Gris Dior does pair really beautifully with these fragrances because that's another combo that I've tried. It just amps up that wet sort of petrichor patchouli vibe. So if that's something that you're into, definitely try layering them together. Play around with them. These are gorgeous. They're clean. They're beautiful. I highly suggest checking these two out. And yeah, those are my thoughts on the fragrances. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it was informative, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.